Good morning. It is so it's Wednesday or Thursday? Don't know. Let me check. It is Thursday, the 25th of June, 2026. So, it's currently 6:33 a.m. I woke up around 4 and I've been, trying to wake up and mostly doing some stuff, but yeah. Um this is not much of an update video. It's more of a uh I guess it's kind of weird, but it's just, I guess you don't know what's gonna trigger for you to go into thinking or reflection or anything like that, right? But I got you can say like a fortune cookie, and one of the things that it said is basically that in order for me to um be happy, right, I had to give up my old dream in order to get a new dream that will make me, that will bring me the most happiness. And that was an interesting thing, right? And it kind of bothered me a bit, but it was mostly because it got me to think, and I'm like, what are the dreams? What are my current dreams? What is my current goals? What do I really want out of life? And really, it all boils down at the end of the day, um, to I had very concrete dreams or things that I used to think that they were what I fully wanted from life. And I think this is something that maybe most people see or most people experience when they think that they know exactly what they want, but it's actually something, um it's something that's not quite right. It might be similar, but it might not be right. And you know as you grow and you age and you learn new things, and life, humbles you sometimes, teaches you things. You have to reevaluate certain things and stuff. So right now, right, all I can say is that my actual I have two big dreams. One is for me as a person to find happiness, right? To be happy, to live a life where I'm happy, right? That doesn't mean I'm gonna be smiling and I'm gonna be, getting everything I want at all the time, right? It doesn't mean that I'm gonna just, live a perfect life. That's not the case. But I do want to find happiness, right? Live a life that I think is, something that I'm happy with. The second one will be that all the dreams of my loved ones, become, true. That we reach our goals, our aspirations, and somewhere in the future, again with the cheesy thing, right? We somehow meet up, or we connect, and then we talk, and then you know everybody is at a point where they're happy, they're doing the thing that they want to do, they're living a life that they're happy with themselves. And the reason that I keep them so vague and so um out of details is because things keep on changing, right? And what we think that we wanted, or our original uh uh big goal or whatever, might not be exactly right. For example, right, I used to think that, you know that I wanted that I always wanted a family, and that was everything, right? That I wanted to start my own family and stuff like that. But over time, as I've been reflecting and going on it, I'm like, why was I so strongly, wanting of a family? And it I found out that it's not so much the family, it's the fact that I want to find a place where I belong. That's the biggest thing, right? I just want to find somewhere where I am that I'm just that I truly am happy being, a place that I feel like I am, that this is, good for me. And for me, in the traditional sense, right? Uh Family, right? In Mexican families and stuff like that, they always talk about family, and it's super strong, and all that stuff. Which, if that is the right path, maybe it is, maybe it's not, I don't know. But I'm not gonna be so dogmatic or, hard set to think that it's just that family is the only path to that sense of belonging or community or what I'm looking for, right? I could potentially find it through, who knows, a hobbies group, a new group of friends. Maybe all I need is a to have a good partner, and that's more than enough. Maybe I find it through um you know different things, right? Once I'm not gonna just dogmatically say that it's only found through one avenue. And yeah, and that's why I'm saying, that I don't want my goals or my dreams to be to focus on one thing, because things change, life changes, right? You might maybe once upon a time you're like, oh, what I want, the biggest thing I want out of life is to uh to do something like, become the greatest, I don't know, scientist of all time, right? Or something, make a huge contribution in that way. But maybe that's not what truly was your calling or your goal. Maybe you find out along the path that maybe you yourself are not meant to be the greatest mind, of this century or whatever. But maybe you are the guy that's meant to teach and guide the person that is going to become that. You are the one that's going through and teaching the future generations that are going to lead to those inventions and those things, right? And I think that's basically, yeah, how I'm going about it. Furthermore, I think that a big deal or a big catalyst as well for this, other than the cookie was just like like I guess the big thing that just sparked me thinking about it. But other than that, it's reading again Young, but now Hermann Hesse. I hope I'm not butchering his name right. Um, I've read his work before, but I had forgotten about his name, right? I read Siddhartha, something like that. Siddhartha, I think that's the right way to say it. And basically, it's all about the life of a guy that was born into clergy. I think they're called Brahams. I might be wrong. Let me just look it up. Braham, Braham, or something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong. I don't remember the exact term. Um, but basically he was born to some kind of like clergy, right? Like their religious leader. Like his father was a really prominent religious leader, and he was all his life he was brought up to where people wanted him to be the next one because they thought, oh, he's talented, he has this special touch and stuff. But throughout the process, he finds out that that's not the right path to for him, right? So he basically goes and denounces everything that he has, everything that he was supposed to, what life told, was saying that he was gonna be. And he tells his father that he's gonna leave, to become a different type of it's he joins a different religious group, right? And they have different beliefs where they give away everything. They don't have any, possessions and stuff like that, and they are very dogmatic with their views. So he leaves and he joins them. And then once he's going through that process, he finds out that that's not the right path for him either. And he basically keeps on going on this journey, right? He goes through that. He also meets a courtesan, um, who he basically has like he falls in love with her. He lives a big adventure, goes through life, and becomes a very rich man, right? Huge merchant himself. And yeah, he just goes through life, going through all of the different stages, climbing up and down, and going through. And each one of those things that he does, he learns something else, right? And slowly, over time, he finds um inner peace, and he finds his true calling in life, right? A path that only he himself, carved out. And he meets other people that are close to the Buddha as well, right? Um, and one of the guys that he talks to goes on a different path, has different beliefs, but he can tell that he has also, reached his own path, right? So it's one of those things that, different roads lead, to, I guess you can say, the same goal, right? If you believe in a final, a collective or final resting place, or final destination for anything that remains of you after you pass away, right? And yeah, he breaks through the cycle, and it's interesting because he finally finds his final revelation when he's looking at the river, just a running river, right? There is no start or beginning, it just constantly flows. It is continuous and it keeps on cycling, right? And he finds a way to, you know, just kind of like break out of that cycle. It's an interesting book. It's, very, um it's inspired by Eastern philosophy and, religion, but it's overall a really good book. And then from there, the recent one that I've read was a collection of his poems. And yet again, Hesse shows why, I felt such a strong connection with Siddhartha before. Hesse, in a lot of senses, he writes poetry, as well, but he also went through life, and he lives it in a way that I find is very similar to my own, right? He finds joy and he finds happiness in not, big, shiny, materialistic things and stuff like that. He finds it through just being one with nature, or being one with his inner thoughts, and, finding happiness, through his own way. He has accumulated a lot of experience through a lot of different things, that he has just gone through life. He lived to be, I think, 80 years old. So he lived a good, long life, especially for back in the day. I think yeah. And, he talked about things that, for all intents and purposes, were not really talked too much about, even today, right? But before as well, they were not really talked about or considered, right? And yeah, I think I, from reading his poems, he was wise. He knew some stuff. He had some very beautiful writing, and just from going at it, it has a lot of themes to stuff that I've wrote before, which, it's one of those things that, it humbles you, but at the same time you're like, there's somebody else who kind of has seen some things that are similar to yours. So at the same time, it validates, I guess, your some of your thoughts and maybe some of your ideas, and it kind of, I'm not gonna say that everything, everything he believes and all his things are the same as mine. That's not the case. But I feel like we have some kind of kindred connection. Like, there's like, I would have loved to sit down and talk to him. The same thing with Young, right? Would have loved to sit down and talk to them, just pick their brains, and, see, have them as, some kind of like, mentorish style thing. But, born at different eras, right? Different worlds, different different, just different times. And yeah, but still, even though they passed away, they left their works behind, and, through their literature they wrote and stuff. But yeah, some very beautiful poetry, some very deep thoughts, some very strong, you know just ideas that I feel, resonated strongly with me. But yeah, and yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, the cookie was the catalyst for me going into deep thought, but, it was already kind of like brewing, after for a while now, right? It just, was the final thing that just made it, kind of like, and ignite this, little reflection. But yeah, my big goal right now, for me personally, not like, everybody else, but my big goal is just to be happy and do things that make me happy, right? Stop, I'm gonna stop, worrying so much about, you know pleasing people, or, doing other stuff like that. I'm gonna just do things that I feel are right here, here in this old ticker, right? Just do things that I feel are, that make me happy. Do things that I feel, proud of doing. Not that easy gratification, right? Because anybody can, feel happy, doing drugs, or, you know buying something. That's the whole thing, right? You buy a new car, a new pair of shoes, some new things, and then, you're happy for, couple hours, a couple days, maybe up to couple weeks, months, right? But as soon as that high wears out, and then you're like looking to get something else, and you're like, yeah, maybe maybe that's not the right path forward for me. And yeah, so I'm just doing things, no pressure, no stress, no kind of like, no nothing, no kind of like huge motive or goal or stuff like that, right? Because I know that goals and dreams, they will change, right? So I want to make sure that I keep it broad, and that way, I don't just keep on, but at the end of the day, even if I mess up, or I do and chase something and it doesn't lead the right path, I think life, has a way of, balancing things out. It will humble you, it will make you trip, on your path. It will make you see it, whether you want to see it maybe through the easy way, good, through a good experience, or maybe it might be a bad experience. But life has a way of redirecting you to what's, good for you. All you have to do is, keep on moving and just kind of like listen and try to look out for the signs. But yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, nothing too major, but this is, yeah, it's just, this is where I'm at in my dream goals, I guess. Well, see ya next time I decide to